Paratmanamekam Jagadbijamadyam Niriham Nirakaram Onkara Vedyam Yato Jayate Palyate Yena Vishvam Tamisham Bhaje Liyate Yatra Vishvam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear devotees, today we are into the fourth session of the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Before we proceed, just to recapitulate what we studied in the last three sessions, this chapter keeps before us the true nature of Ishvara in its totality. Sri Krishna says that I am going to tell you about the true nature of Ishvara without any grain of doubt. The knowledge which is initially conceptual, later maturing into experiential knowledge. And this knowledge is such that after knowing which, there remains nothing more to be known. So the fruit of this knowledge is something extraordinary, super excellent fruit. Means when we have this knowledge of the Supreme Reality, there remains nothing more to be known in human life. In that case, this is going to be challenging. It is not going to be easy. Why it is not going to be easy? The reason is only one. It is a matter of competence, eligibility. So, it is expected that we work in the direction of making ourselves more and more eligible and competent to have this experiential knowledge of Ishvara. That's why Krishna said, one among 1,000 persons may strive to attain this knowledge. And even among those who are striving, maybe perchance, only one person succeeds in attaining this knowledge. Then Sri Krishna presents the reality. So first he presents the so-called the lower dimension of Prakriti. Prakriti has got two dimensions, the inferior and the superior. The inferior dimension is the material dimension. He says, Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayu, Kham, Mano, Buddhirevacha, Ahankaram, Iti, Yamme, Bhinna, Prakriti, Ashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air and space, mind, intellect and ahamkara. In short, these are all the products of Maya. This is all the material dimension. Then he says, superior to this so-called lower dimension, which is known as Apara Prakriti, superior to this, completely distinct from this, Etad Vilakshanam. This is a very important point. The higher Prakriti is totally distinct from this lower Prakriti because of its characteristic. Lower Prakriti is material. And what is this higher Prakriti? Higher Prakriti, Sri Krishna says, is Jiva Bhutam Mahabhaho. This higher Prakriti is Jiva Bhutam. Jiva Bhutam means the higher Prakriti is consciousness. Consciousness appearing in the form of individual souls. Jiva, you, me, all the living entities. And it is this conscious principle which is holding this entire Vishwa Prapancha. It is this conscious principle, consciousness, which is holding this so-called material dimension. In short, this Apara Prakriti is completely held by Para Prakriti. And then whose Prakriti is these two Prakritis? It is Ishvara's own Prakriti. Lower Prakriti as well as higher Prakriti, these are two Prakritis belonging to Ishvara himself. Then Krishna says, Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhava pralayas tatha. In and through by these two Prakritis, Krishna is saying that I am the cause of everything here. Ishvara is the cause, and the so-called, what we are referring to as Jiva and Jagat, is the caused. One is the cause, other is that which is caused or effect. Now the question is whether the cause and effect, they are two different things. If you just look into it, effect is nothing but cause in a different form, nothing else. So in that sense, the conclusion is that whatever is existing here, it is all Ishvara and Ishvara alone. There is nothing here which is not Ishvara. And Krishna comes to a beautiful utterance there, a very famous utterance where Krishna says, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Hey Arjun, there is nothing whatsoever superior to me. Matta parataram, there is nothing superior to me. This I refers to everything now. This everything is I. There is nothing now left out of this I. I refers to that supreme reality which is comprised of Apara as well as Para Prakriti. There is nothing superior to this reality. Me, Ishvara. Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. In me everything is threaded, just like a thread which threads the different flowers in a garland. So beautiful. Here also one thing which we need to keep in mind is that, is the thread and the flowers two different things? The idea is that one thing is pervading the other. There is an idea of pervasion. We say that this world is completely pervaded by Ishvara and God. Does it mean that there are two things called Ishvara and a second thing called Jagat, which is being pervaded by Ishvara? So what is the nature of this pervasion? This all-pervasiveness of Ishvara, what does it mean? Shankaracharya makes a beautiful point there. He says, how is it that one thing is pervading the other? It is just like this cloth is pervaded by thread. What a beautiful point it is. As we saw in the last class, this cloth, tell me, we say that this cloth is pervaded by thread. But where is the cloth? It is thread. Cloth is just a name used for thread, is it not? Another example which Shankaracharya gives in many places, he says it is just like a clay which is pervading the pot, an earthen pot which is made out of clay. We can say that the clay is pervading the pot. The question is, where is the pot? It is clay. This is the kind of pervasion It is not that there are two things called clay as well as pot. It is not that there are two things called thread as well as cloth. It is not that there are two things called Ishvara and Jagat. It is Ishvara alone which is appearing in the form of all the Jiva and Jagat here. So what we are seeing here, Krishna wants to say, whatever we are experiencing here, through our senses, is nothing but the para prakriti and apara prakriti, play of the two prakritis of Ishvara, which is nothing but Ishvara and Ishvara alone in so many forms. This is the nature of the Supreme Reality. Is there anything left out now? In the past, in the present, in the future, whatever we are seeing in front, whatever is not seen, whatever is pratyaksha and whatever is paroksha, two words are often used in Vedantic discussions. Pratyaksha means that which is we see in front of us. You're all sitting in front of me. I am sitting in front of you. You are looking at me. There are many things outside the range of our senses now, is it not? Something is happening in Delhi, something is happening in Mumbai, something is happening in the moon, something is happening in the sun. Everything is the play of apara prakriti and para prakriti. It's all Ishvara. The seen and the unseen, the past, the present, and the future, everything is nothing but that supreme reality called Ishvara. Then Krishna presented the idea that this Ishvara is the essence of the so-called everything that we are experiencing. Whatever is existing, can that thing exist without its essence? Essence means that without which a particular thing cannot exist. So this Ishvara is the essence of everything. So we have seen a series of items were taken to show that this Ishvara, this supreme reality is the very soul, the very essence of everything that we are experiencing here, without which nothing can exist. So what we are referring to as Jiva and Jagat, it has got Ishvara as its essence. Jiva and Jagat are nothing but two words we are using to refer to that which is actually Ishvara. Again, I repeat, this is a very important point. Jiva and Jagat, they are merely two words used to refer to that which is actually nothing but Ishvara and Ishvara alone. This point Shankaracharya makes very clear in his Aparokshanubhuti. There a beautiful verse comes where this point is made very clear. And that very idea Swami Vivekananda so beautifully tells us in one of his talks. Swamiji says, I am the servant of that God whom the ignorant call as man. So beautiful. I am the servant of that Ishvara whom the ignorant call as man or woman or animal or plant. These are just words used to refer to Ishvara, words used in ignorance. When this supreme knowledge comes, that very word which we were using as man and woman to refer to Ishvara becomes meaningless. It will be seen that whom I am referring to as man and woman, animal, plant, etc., everything will be known to be nothing but Ishvara and Ishvara alone. So this is the discussion which was going on. In the last few classes we saw this. And the last verse, 12th verse which we studied, that was, Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasa tamasascha ye matta eveti tan vidhi natvaham teshu te mai. Krishna says here, Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasa tamasascha ye. Here bhava refers to the positive things which are existing. Different things which are existing. Your things are all either sattvic or rajasic or tamasic. The so-called entire Vishwa Prapancha which we are seeing, it is all made up of the three gunas. And to whom does these three gunas belong to? These three gunas belong to Ishvara himself. Matta eveti tan vidhi. Please know, hey Arjuna, all these different things which you are perceiving, the things which are either sattvic, rajasic and tamasic, they all proceed from me and me alone. Matta eveti tan vidhi. Please know that everything proceeds from me and me alone. That means, actually speaking, there is nothing to be there is nothing which we can despise. Usually we look down upon something which is tamasic, is it not? Everything is God. Ishvara is in the form of tamas. Ishvara is in the form of rajas. And it is this very Ishvara in the form of sattva also. Sattva, rajas, tamas, all the things proceed from me and me alone. But there is an important condition here. The condition is that I am not in them. Krishna says, Natvaham teshu. I do not exist in them, but they exist in me. Natvaham teshu te mai. They exist in me. What does it mean? It means that I am not subject to the three gunas. These three gunas, which mean nothing but Maya, I am not subject to them. I am not subject to anything here, but everything here is subject to me, means everything is under my control, under my rule. I am that sovereign entity under whom all this drama is going on. And the drama is me alone, nothing else. It is not that the person who is performing this drama is different from the drama. He himself is both the things. But he is the master of the drama. He is not subject to this drama. This is the conclusion which we had come to in the last verse, verse number 12. Now, a very important question comes here. Shankaracharya says, you see, now the supreme reality is what? Whatever we are seeing here is that supreme reality. In that case, why is that we don't understand this point? Why is that the common man and the woman, we fail to perceive this? It's a very vital question. If that is the only reality which is existing, if Ishvara is the only thing which is actually existing, then why is that we are not in a position to understand this point? Shankaracharya says here, the world does not know me, the Supreme Lord. Even though I am of this kind, till now the description of Ishvara was going on. This Ishvara is of this kind. This kind means what? Whatever is existing is Ishvara alone. If this is the case, but why is that the world is not understanding this point? Ishvara, which is Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta Swabhava. Ishvara, which is eternally pure, eternally awakened, and ever free. And we are all actually speaking that. In that case, the question is, why is that we are not understanding this point? What is the source of this ignorance in the world? A very vital question. In the preceding verse, Krishna had presented the supreme reality. The supreme reality is fine. But why is there this ignorance among the so-called living beings? Why is that the living beings are not in a position to understand this reality? Why? What makes them remain ignorant of this fact? Now comes a beautiful discussion, a very important point, which is the discussion of Maya. A very vital point. Now, what is this Maya? You see, Sri Krishna says, verse number 13, he is saying that Tribhir gunamayair bhavai ebhis sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhya paramavyayam. He says, all this world, this entire world, everybody, which includes all jivas, everything, all this world deluded as it is by these three things made up of the gunas, does not know me who am transcendent to these and undecaying. This is the simple translation. Now what does it mean? Krishna is saying that Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam. Very important word. Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam. This entire world is totally deluded. Mohitam. Why Mohitam? It says, Mohitam by what? Deluded by what? Deluded by Tribhir gunamayair bhavai. Deluded by the things made up of the three gunas. Now, whatever we are experiencing here, all the things, now see, we are all perceiving this world through our five sense organs, is it not? We are our eyes, ears, nose, taste and touch. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. Is it not? This is our whole world of experience. Sound, taste, form, touch and smell. These are the five sense organs which we have. We are seeing these five kinds of objects through our five sense organs. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. We are not seeing anything else, is it not? All these things are what? They are all guna vikara. Guna vikara means they are all the modifications of the three gunas. Whatever we are seeing, it is the modification of three gunas, means they are all the modifications of Maya. And our attention is completely glued to these things. We are completely glued to the so-called the material dimension of this existence. That is what Krishna wants to say. Tribhir gunamayair bhavai. The different things created by the three gunas means Maya, means the material dimension, the different forms which it assumes. Our attention is glued to this material dimension. And that is how we are totally getting deluded and infatuated by the different forms which we are seeing. Tribhir gunamayair bhavai ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam. Because of this, our attention being completely glued to the material dimension alone, in the form of the different things which we are seeing through our sense organs, we are totally deluded, and owing to this, what is happening? Na abhijanati mam. Nobody is looking at me. Nobody is paying attention to the para prakriti. Everybody's attention is glued to apara prakriti. Apara prakriti means only the material dimension. How true is this fact? Just tell me, who is aware of the consciousness side of this existence? existence. Everybody is only conscious of the lower dimension, the material dimension. We are all just, our understanding, our awareness of everything is just material. We are looking at everything as if it's all material. Who is aware consciously about the consciousness side? No one. This material side or the material dimension is totally hiding the so-called the consciousness side. So it's a very important verse. Krishna is saying that owing to our attention being glued to the so-called the different things, these things which are nothing but the modifications of three gunas, modifications of Maya, means the material dimension, as our attention is completely glued to this material dimension alone, nobody is aware of the higher dimension of the reality, which is consciousness. Mohitam nabhijanati mam. Nobody knows me, the consciousness side, who is param, superior, and avyayam, which is undecaying. The material dimension is continuously changing. The material dimension is continuously changing. The body is changing. When we look at somebody, are we aware of that person as consciousness? Usually that is not our vision. We look upon the other person as somebody who is having a body. The whole attention is glued to the so-called the body dimension. Who is aware of that person as consciousness? Our attention is never on the consciousness side of anything which we are perceiving. Our attention is always on the so-called on the material side. Our consciousness is always glued to the so-called apara prakriti and not on the para prakriti. And that is why, that is how so-called this apara prakriti is as if hiding the para prakriti. That is how sarvam jagat mohitam, totally this entire world is deluded. And they are not knowing me, the higher dimension, the consciousness, which is param, superior, and avyayam. One important point which Shankaracharya makes here is that when our attention, he uses three beautiful words here in his commentary. He is saying that when our attention is glued to the so-called the material dimension, all the things, the different things which we are seeing here, and these things are nothing but the modifications of the three gunas, the modifications of Maya. When our attention is only glued to these so-called objects and things, objects, living objects, non-living objects, what will be the outcome of that, you know? Shankaracharya uses three beautiful terms: Raga, Dvesha, and Moha. He is bringing the whole discussion down to our own day-to-day, everyday life experience. As long as our attention is only glued to the so-called the material dimension of existence, our interaction with those things, with this idea, will be always governed by either raga or dvesha or moha. Attraction, repulsion, and infatuation. Everybody is infatuated by what we see through our senses, because our senses are revealing only the so-called apara prakriti. Our senses are revealing only the so-called the material dimension. We are only looking at the so-called the material dimension of this existence. And because of that, and this material dimension is nothing but the modification of Maya made up of three gunas, and because of that, we become infatuated. This moham is a beautiful word. We say somebody is mohagrasta. Mohagrasta means totally captured, captivated. You become a captive of something. Something is capturing you, and you are bound. Moham. It blinds us. Infatuation. Putra moha. Santana moha, Stri moha, Purusha moha, Dhana moha, so many kinds, so many things, all these things which totally blind us as far as the reality is concerned. They blind us as far as the consciousness dimension is concerned. And when we are blinded, all our dealings will be governed by either raga, dvesha, and everything coming out of raga and dvesha. Raga, dvesha and moha. Shankaracharya uses three beautiful terms. So this is exactly what is happening in our life. Because our attention is glued to the material dimension, we lose sight of the so-called the consciousness dimension, and that is how this entire world, all of us are totally deluded, and we are not understanding Ishvara as Ishvara should be understood. This is how, though everything is Ishvara, we are not understanding this great reality. So the question was, if everything is that supreme reality, why is that we are not in a position to see the reality as the reality is? The reason is that our attention, our awareness is glued only to the apara prakriti. Para prakriti is totally oblivious. It has gone into an oblivion. It is not in our present awareness. Our whole awareness is only about the so-called or the lower dimension of the reality. This is the problem. So now what is the solution to this? That comes in the next verse. It says, Tribhir gunamayai bhavai ebhis sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhya paramavyayam daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So very famous shloka of the Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna is talking about this a mysterious entity called Maya. He says, Daivi Hesha Gunamai. Every word is important. We may have to spend some time here. He says, Daivi Hesha Gunamai. Mama Maya. This Maya, which is Gunamai. Gunamai means it is made up of three gunas. It is not that it is made up of three gunas. Maya is one entity. Its characteristic is the three gunas in the form of sattva, rajas and tamas. Sattva, rajas and tamas is what is Maya. And what this Maya is doing is something very inscrutable. And this Maya is Daivi. It belongs to the Devata. Daivi. It is Daivi, it is divine. It is not something which is non-divine. So very, very important point to be remembered is, here everything is divine. Even the so-called Maya is divine. It is Daivi, Hesha, Gunamayi, Mama Maya. This Maya belongs to whom? It belongs to me, the Parabrahman. It is Brahman's own Shakti. It is Brahman's own Maya. Brahman and Maya are not two different things. It is Brahman alone. Brahman alone in the form of so-called in and through its own Shakti. That Shakti aspect is what is referred to as Maya. So it is Brahman's own Shakti, which we refer to as Maya. Again and again in our scriptures it is repeatedly mentioned that Brahman and Maya are not two different things. Shankaracharya keeps on saying, Agni Ushnavat. Agni Ushnavat. Agni Ushnavat means just like fire and fire's heating heat. Is fire's heat different from fire? You cannot think about the heat apart from fire. Fire and heat, they are one thing. Similarly, Brahman and Brahman's Maya, they are not two different things, they are one thing. So, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. Now, Sri Krishna is saying, this Maya is Duratyaya. It is very difficult to cross over this Maya. Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is not easy to cross over this Maya. We are all in the trap of this Maya. We are all in the trap of the Apara Prakriti. As I said, the earlier verse, what Krishna has said. Our whole attention and awareness is presently drowned in the Apara Prakriti. Again I repeat. Our present awareness is such that it is totally drowned in the so-called Apara Prakriti, in the material dimension of this existence. And as long as it is drowned in the so-called Apara Prakriti, we are all captured there. This Apara Prakriti is what is Maya, and this Maya is Duratyaya. It is very difficult to cross over. Difficult, but not impossible. So what is the way to cross over this Maya? The way to cross over this Maya is what? Mameva ye prapadyante. One who takes refuge in me and me alone. Mameva ye prapadyante. Mayam etam taranti te taranti. That person will cross over this Maya. Which person? That person who takes refuge in me and me alone. Me and me alone is an important point. Now here, me refers to that Paraprakriti, the consciousness side. That means we have to shift our attention consciously from the so-called material dimension to the consciousness dimension of existence. As we have seen in the earlier classes, whatever we are seeing here, it is a mixture of matter and consciousness. Presently, our attention is completely governed and glued to the so-called the material dimension, which is as if it is hiding the so-called consciousness dimension of existence. Now, the way to come out of the captivity of the so-called material dimension is what? To shift our attention consciously to the consciousness dimension of existence. In everything, in every living being, there is a consciousness side. Instead of our attention being focused on the so-called the material aspect of what we are seeing, our attention should be fixed on something which is deeper, the consciousness which is radiating in and through every form. Every form is a mixture of the so-called matter as well as consciousness. Every form is a mixture of so-called Apara Prakriti and Para Prakriti. Every form is Ishvara's form. Let our attention be raised from the so-called material dimension to the consciousness dimension and see what happens. We are getting out of Maya. When we practice this, practicing what? Practicing shifting our attention from the so-called the surface view to the deeper view. I always say the 2 mm view of human beings. We can have a 2 mm view of human beings. What is this 2 mm view of human beings? 2 mm view means a surface view, a skin deep view of human beings. Is it not? The doctors know better. What is the dimension of the skin? The skin is just 2 mm thick. We are all totally captivated by this 2 mm view of human beings. It is this 2 mm view which is actually deluding us, mohitam. Totally we are infatuated by what we are seeing just on the surface. Then we call this is a man, this is a woman. If we develop a deeper insight, where is the man? Where is the woman? It is all Ishvara in so many forms. This shifting of our awareness from the so-called surface to something which is deeper, this is the real practice. This is what is real spiritual practice. Our attention is then shifted to the so-called the consciousness dimension of existence. the consciousness dimension of everything. From there, our vision becomes clear. Then we will understand that whatever we are seeing, it is all Ishvara and Ishvara alone. As long as our attention is glued to the so-called the lower dimension, we are totally confused. We are mistaking the one thing for something else. And we are captured. This is how we are all captured in the network of Maya, Apara Prakriti. The way is to take refuge in the Para Prakriti alone. Mameva ye prapadyante. One who takes refuge in me and me alone means you're raising yourself from the so-called material dimension and now holding on to the higher dimension, which is consciousness. That alone is going to be the way to get out of this trap of so-called Maha Maya. Mameva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. So beautiful. So this Maya is Duratyaya. Krishna says it is so difficult to cross over this Maya. How true it is. Everybody is captured, enslaved, literally like enslaved, hand and foot tied down by our infatuation for the so-called the material dimension of existence. Is it not? We are all totally captives. Just like, in olden days, slaves used to be captured, put into small cells. We are just like that. We are all captives of the so-called the material dimension. We are all just like slaves to this material dimension. And we are being made to respond to this dimension either in the form of attachment or repulsion. It is going on. Every human being's behavior, either we are attracted towards something or we are repelled by something. See, who is free here? Mahamaya is actually making us behave in a certain manner. As long as we are totally glued, attracted, captivated by the material dimension alone, this is going to be our behavior pattern. Attraction, repulsion. Attraction, repulsion. Attraction, repulsion. See? We are constantly attracted by what we are seeing on the surface and we are constantly repelled. Both are the same thing. Both are extremely dangerous. If you are a spiritual aspirant, the biggest enemy of spiritual life is this disease of attraction and repulsion. Only when we learn to go above this kind of a behavior in which we are constantly pasted by either the force of raga or by the force of dvesha. What an horrible situation it is it not? Every step you walk, either you are attracted or you are repelled. Attracted or repelled. Attracted or repelled. It's going on. It is going on endlessly. And there is no escape from this as long as you don't take refuge in the higher dimension of reality. This is what is real spiritual practice, to go beyond raga and dvesha. In the 6th chapter, Sri Krishna beautifully says, you have to raise yourself by yourself. This is how we are raising. We have to raise ourselves by overcoming, by treating this disease of raga and dvesha by a higher understanding of reality, which is coming through scriptures, which is coming through the Guru and the Shastras. Then slowly we can overcome this Maya. Whenever you are rising above raga and dvesha in your behavior, you should remember that you are rising above Maya. And as long as you are allowing yourselves to be governed by these forces of attraction and repulsion, we are completely ruled by Maya. A very important point. So this Maya is very dangerous. There are so many stories which depict this kind of the situation into which we find ourselves to be a situation in which we are totally governed by this mysterious force called Maya, which is deluding everything in this creation. There's a story about Krishna and Narada. Let me just narrate that story. There are several stories which depict this phenomenon of Maya. Once, Narada and Krishna is the Yogeshwara, the Lord of Maya, and Narada is a great soul. He's a wonderful, noble soul, a sadhaka, a mumukshu, with great spiritual qualities. Everything is there. And both of them, they are walking in the evening, and suddenly Narada tells Krishna, Krishna, I want to see your Maya. Krishna says, Narada, you ask for anything else, but don't ask for Maya. This is the most dangerous thing you are asking for. Don't do this, you will be in trouble. But Narada would not accept this. He pesters. No, Krishna, I want to see your Maya. Show me your Maya. Again Krishna wants. Narada, don't go in this direction. It is dangerous. I'm telling you, warning you. You are playing with fire. No, Krishna, I want to see your Maya. Okay. Then they started walking. Already the Maya has started walking now. Narad had asked this question. Now he has already forgotten that he had asked this question. Already the Maya has started working. Maya makes us forget the reality. That is the first thing. He asked this question and both of them now started walking. They were walking, and after walking at great distance, Krishna says, Narad, I am feeling very thirsty and tired. Can you just get one glass of water for me? So Narad said, yes, Krishna, definitely. You please sit here. And he was looking around, and there was nothing close by. There was no water source close by. So from where to get the water? So Narad saw at a great distance there was one village. So it was at a great distance. So Narad told Krishna, Krishna, you please be seated under this tree. I will go to that village and get water at the earliest. I'll come fast. Please sit here. I will go and get a glass of water for you. Saying so, Narad started walking, running towards the village. He reached the village. And as soon as he entered the village, the first house which was on the way, the first house which he came across, he went, and his purpose was to bring water for Krishna. Okay, see, purpose, very important point. His purpose was to bring water for Krishna. He came and he knocked the door, the first door which he found on the way. He knocked at the door. The door was opened, and an extremely beautiful young woman was standing in front of him. Narada is gone. Maya. What happened? What does Maya do? It's a very symbolical story. The first thing, see, Krishna is Ishvara. Okay, in this story, if you just see the symbology, Krishna is Ishvara. Narada is the Jiva. His main purpose is to serve Ishvara, who is Krishna. How to serve? By bringing water for Ishvara. Now, seeing this so-called infatuated by apara prakriti. See what we are studying here. Infatuated, totally captivated by the so-called the material dimension of a certain thing. The first thing which happens is we forget Ishvara. The para prakriti is gone. Sri Krishna, which is the para prakriti, it's gone. The purpose is forgotten. Are we even knowing what is the purpose of being born in the human body? We all have forgotten the purpose of being born in the human body. How is it happening? Maya. The first thing that Maya does to us is it makes us the purpose of being born in a human body. The main purpose of being born in a human body is to realize God. That is gone by being glued to the so-called the apara prakriti in a certain form. See the symbology, beautiful. Then he's saying that beautiful woman. Narad is also a young man. He's also young, handsome, very well built, and he's also unmarried. So both of them, that lady welcomes Narada into the house, and Narada now has totally forgotten Krishna. Krishna is gone from his awareness now. He's totally captured by this lady. And the lady serves him refreshments, and both of them, they start talking. And it was already evening, so that lady said, why don't you spend the night today here? And the lady's father is also there. So with the permission of lady's father, Narada spends that night there. Next day also, the story continues. Both of them, they have started to develop a liking for each other. And like this, day after day go by, and finally a time comes when now they both have started liking each other, and they think of marrying. Narada asks the permission from the girl's father, and the father is also very happy because Narada is such a cultured man, a young, handsome man. Means every father would want this kind of a son-in-law for his daughter. So immediately that girl's father also agrees, and Narada marries and settles down in that village. And in this way, 1 year is gone, 2 years is gone, first child is born, 4 years have gone, the second child is born, third child, fourth child, 12 years have gone by. Now Narad is a citizen of that village. He is a farmer there. He is doing his farming. He is a very good husband, very good householder. God is forgotten. Maya, completely drowned in a certain apara prakriti. Then after 12 years, one day what happens? A very devastating flood comes in that village. And in that flood, everything, as you know, sometimes the floods can be very dangerous. Everything is washed away. Narad's house is washed away. His father-in-law is killed. And his house is gone. His cattle is gone. Everything is gone. And he is now desperately wanting to save his family, so-called his wife and children, me and mine. You see, this is all the play of Maya which is going on. As long as we are just glued to the so-called the apara prakriti, the lower dimension of existence, as long as our attention is glued only to the so-called the material dimension of existence, this is what happens. It takes the form of deep attachment to certain things and repulsion to those things which are not favorable to you. And this drama is going on. And now Narad, he's wanting to save his wife and children. With one hand he's holding his wife tightly. See the grip. The story is like that. With a tight grip, he's holding the wife's hand. He's holding the wife's body, the material dimension. This material dimension is such a dimension that no matter how tightly you hold, everything is bound to go away. Let us understand this point very clearly. No matter how tightly you grip the so-called material dimension, everything will just slip away from your hold. You can't hold it. That's why we suffer in life. That's why the importance of tyaga. It is only a person who is endowed with this wonderful virtue of tyaga and vairagya, he alone can be truly happy in this life. The other opposite of tyaga is what? Bhoga and raga, attachment. You want to hold on to things. You want to hold on to persons, the persons whom you like. It is just a liking and disliking. It is a disease of the human mind. As long as we don't rise above this disease of liking and disliking, there's no escape from this Maya. So anyhow, Narad is now holding his wife's hand so tightly, he doesn't want to leave. But still, flood is flood. She is washed away. And Narad screams. Naturally, anguish. Then he is holding other children, his children, with one hand, left hand he is holding another, his one son. Other two sons are sitting on his shoulders. That is how the description is. And is trying to save them. But one by one, in that devastating flood, everything is washed away. The first son is gone, then the second son is gone, the third son is gone, everything is gone. And Narad is screaming, anguish, lamentation. And finally, Narad himself is thrown away, somewhere far away on the bank of the river. And there he is lying, fainted. After some time, he gets up and he weeps and weeps and weeps, as we do. Why? This mad mohitam nabhijanati. Mohitam. Totally we are drowned in this moha, infatuation, blindness. Moha is that which blinds us. Blinded by Maya, not seeing the supreme reality, we are drowned in this apara prakriti and we are weeping. And in that situation, as Narad was weeping and weeping, sitting on the bank of the river, he is deeply in tears. At that time, somebody comes from behind and says, he taps the back of Narad and says, Narad, where is my water? I have been waiting for last half an hour. Narad looks back and looks at Krishna. Now suddenly, the moment Ishvara comes, Maya is gone. This is the play. The moment the apara prakriti comes, the grip over the apara prakriti is loosened. The way to get loosened, the way to come out of the grip of the apara prakriti is to look at the para prakriti, the consciousness side. The moment he looks at Krishna, he remembers. And Krishna was saying that, I am waiting for last half an hour, and here 13 years have gone by. Narada is saying, you're saying half an hour? 13 years have gone by. Krishna says, this is my Maya. So Maya is dangerous. Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is Brahman's own Maya, which is extremely difficult to cross over. But it is not impossible. The way to overcome this Maya is to turn our attention from apara prakriti to para prakriti, from the material dimension to the so-called consciousness dimension. When our attention is shifted to the higher dimension, that is the way. Higher dimension alone. Mameva. By fixing your mind on me and me alone. Now change your vision. How are you going to change your vision? That is what we were studying here. By knowing that everything is actually speaking that Ishvara alone. Shift your attention from the small idea of man and woman and this and that and try to see Ishvara with your open eyes. Change your vision. Your vision has to be changed. Then only you can come out of this disease of raga and dvesha. Unless we come out of this disease of so-called likes and dislikes, we can never come out of the captivity of this mysterious force called Maya. And this very idea is continued in the next verse also, which we will take in the next class. Namam dushkritino modha prapantyante naradhama. Now the question is, now comes the discussion of two kinds of people. Two kinds of people. One kind is that those who don't worship God, and the other is those who worship God. Two kinds of people, two groups. One who worship God, and the other group who will never worship God. That will be the discussion in the next class, that we shall see in the next class. Let's stop here. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.